You already know the vibes. It's your boy Gartasia. You feel me? Back with another one. Yes, today we are talking about a revolutionary way that you can transform, elevate, take your relationship from level 1 to communication level 1000. You feel me? This is the end all be all. This will turn you from zero to hero, make you the one that people want to hotline bling, want to hit up, want to come to for advice, want to have in their circle. You will magnify your influence. You will magnify, you will magnify your status. You will become somebody that people want to keep close, that people want to keep around them, and that people want to just come to as a pillar of wisdom, as a sage. You feel me? Um, so what is this superpower? As you can see by the title of the video, bite your tongue. Bite your tongue. Listen, so many people, I've seen people blow it. I've blown it. So many people, you know, they're in that room. They're talking to this person that they like. They're talking to this person that they respect, right? Or like, there's been conflict in the past, right? And they're sitting down with the person. They're having a meeting, on the verge of like resolving this conflict, and they fucking blow it because they don't have the discipline to bite the urge, to jump in, to butt in, to interrupt, and try to sway that person, you know, and it's really sad. And the saddest part is it's something that can easily, be reversed. It's something that you can work on, right? And just to express like the power of biting your tongue, as always, I like to tell a story. So this powerful story was like a really, huge epiphany for me of realizing like the value of biting your tongue. So you feel me? I'm chilling. I'm in Streetersville. I'm hanging out. I like to hang out with like older people, right? Because that's the gyms. I love knowledge. You feel me? I love to learn. So yeah, I'm hanging out in Streeterville. This is my homeboy. He's retired. Great guy. Kind, gentle. All the qualities you want in a friend. Caring, compassionate, great listener. You know, he take a bullet for you, right? He was in a bad mood though. He so basically the story was, he was going to pay his phone bill. He's old school, so he likes to actually go to the T-Mobile office, sit down, talk to the representatives, blah blah blah. And he had the money ready, right? He only had cash on him. So basically, the situation was they only accepted card. He didn't have his card on him, so he was just trying to kind of negotiate with them, like, can you work with me? Like, is there something I could do? And basically, like, the representative was just being an asshole. She was calling him out of his name, like saying, "Oh, stupid white people." Was like basically being very triggering and being very antagonistic, right? And he got kind of heated. He was like, and even though he was with a friend, and the friend was telling her to like, "Yo, chill, like, don't talk to him like that." He, kind of defending him, and he calls the supervisor like, "Okay, this lady is being very disrespectful. What's the problem?" And then basically the supervisor like takes her side and is like, she's saying that you're bothering her, so could you please leave?" They escort him out. He's kind of like banned from there. But basically, he was really emotional with it, right? And I was like, okay, so how are you feeling? This is going through my head. I don't say any of this, right? I'm just holding space. I'm just holding space. I'm just being a sponge, staying present with him, nodding, encouraging him to tell me more, right? I believe this might be a superpower that has come from like the podcast. I've just been able to hold space and kind of fight my urge to talk more so. So it might be easier for me, but I'm going to teach you how you all can do it too, right? So the power of it is, just so going back, so this is uncut, unscripted, unedited. So yeah, that's what these format of the vlog. So I might be blah blah blah, blah sometimes. Like, get used to it. Go to the main channel if you want the edited, nice and clean and tight shit. So basically, what happened was, he was saying that he was frustrated because earlier that day, he was really nice to a homeless person, right? He gave that homeless person a hug. He gave them food and everything, right? So what he was trying to say is like, oh, he's so kind to people. He's so nice to people. He's always there for people, right? But then people toss him to the curb. People treat him like shit. People you know, treat him like he's not human, right? And right then, I wanted to butt in and like tell him like not defensively, but I wanted to tell him like, not all people are the same. The cliche advice like, you got to judge everybody case by case. I wanted to butt in and say that, kind of reassure him that like, sometimes it's like that. But something told me like, wait, hold on, resist the urge to butt in. Just see where he goes with this. Just see where he goes, right? So I just kind of nodded, encouraged him to tell me more, blah blah blah. And then lo and behold, he started digging. He was like, "Yeah, I don't know why it's like that, Gartasia. I think it's because all my life I'm always looking outwards for validation. I'm always looking outwards, to feel fulfilled. I always feel like it must be because like I must not feel fulfilled alone. I must not. Something must be missing within me." He came to this by himself, guys. Like this is me, like literally saying zip, right? Then he digs even deeper, like, I wonder why that is. I wonder why, I care so much about how other people treat me. Maybe I should treat myself better. Yeah, I really have like low self esteem and self worth. And I wonder where that stems from, right? And he was just so introspective, right? And this is all by himself, right? And he was like, yeah, maybe that's something I need to work on. Maybe I need to, find ways to, tap into my own, sources that bring me creativity. Maybe I need to tap into my creative outlets. I need to add more value to me so that I respect myself more, so that I don't even tolerate situations like this. I know that, the value that I've raised in myself is higher than any value that somebody could give me, right? So he says this on his own. I'm like, look at you being a sage. But I just stay serious, just soaking it in. And we kind of part ways. I had stuff to do. He had stuff to do. But then a week later, he actually calls me up and he's like, Gartasia, like, thank you so much. Like, you are my hero. Like, that day that you just sat there and held space for me and just kind of let me ramble and go through those emotions and go through that thought circle, that loop, that changed me so much, and it allowed me to, bring so much clarity, into actionable steps I can take, so that I can build the value, so that I can build that confidence in myself. And he's just like praising me and showering me with all this love and appreciation. And at that moment, I was like, yo, I'm onto something here. Like, there's power to just like not saying shit. There's power to biting your tongue, right? There's power to just being, just sitting in that discomfort. Because let's be honest, it is kind of uncomfortable hearing people like kind of complain or like say irrational shit. But you gotta sit into it, right? Society like makes it so normal nowadays to kind of like, oh, express your opinion all the time, or like, let's bring the other person down, or like, who won the debate, who lost the debate. Like everything's so fucking competitive, right? And it's like, yeah, but like, why are you being competitive with someone who you claim is your friend? Right? Like that's not a competition. That's not a, okay, he talked for 60% of the time, so let me try to balance it. No. Some days be prepared to just listen, right? Like you have two ears and one mouth for a reason. You know, don't give into the urge of like getting defensive, or don't give into the urge of, trying to prove a point, or trying to, and sometimes it's good intentioned, right? Sometimes it's great intentions, but there's light and there is like so much awesomeness at the end of that tunnel of just biting your tongue. And I just want you all to experience it. And I just want to tell like another story just to like hammer that home. Is like, I have another friend, right? And this situation is just even more evidence. So he works in construction, busy guy. He builds houses and stuff like that. And unfortunately, he had an accident, or he lost one of his employees, right? One of his workers to drug overdose, unfortunately. And another one of his workers, the story came out that they were at the same party where one of his employees unfortunately overdosed, right? So basically, he's somebody, he's against drugs. He's always been against drugs. He'll have fun, he'll let loose a little bit. He'll sip a little alcohol, you feel me? But he's always been against like the heavy shit, like cocaine, Molly, X, all that. He's not into that, right? But this was just like a reassurance like, yep, I'm done. Like I lose an employee over OD, now I'm checking like none of my employees, they got to be clean. Like if I find out they do it, they're out, right? So he finds out the other employee came out and just said, yeah, he was doing it with the guy, but he survived though. He actually got hospitalized, but it was a close call for both of them. And basically he actually did get hospitalized, but he did come through. And my friend was just like, yeah, like when he gets out the hospital, I'm gonna break the news to him. I'm just gonna fire him. And then part of me wanted to be like, why are you gonna fire him? And like blah blah blah. And I just let him talk. I was like, bit my tongue, let him ramble, right? And he just ramble like, yeah, I tried helping this guy, even though he has family, he has kids, he's so responsible. Like he's out here partying, wasting his life away, spending his little money on drugs, and I try to give him chance. He shows up late to work, I try to support him. Sometimes he acts out, he does things wrong and I defend him. I have his back, but it's just like a waste of energy. Like I've tried so many times to help him, and it's just like basically energy drain. That's what he's telling me. So he's like, "This is the last straw. I can't tolerate this. You know, I'm gonna fire him, right?" So I really wanted to, I really, really wanted to tell him to like, no, like, bro, I think you're being a little too harsh. Like, maybe you shouldn't fire him. Like, give him another chance. Like, blah blah blah. I want to be like, wouldn't you want another chance if you had to fire? Like, I really wanted to like tap into his empathy and like try to convince him, but I was like, no, let me fucking bite my tongue. Let me just see how his mind works. Let me see if he, can do the right thing on his own, make the right decision, right? So that's what I do. I bite my tongue, I listen, right? And then so basically that phone call ends. 2 weeks pass, so we're catching up. He calls me. So I'm just like, life update. How's the business going now that you lost an employee, and so and so. He's like, everything's going fine. And he was like, oh yeah, by the way, I fired that employee. I was like, oh yeah, okay, cool. And then I just let him talk. I don't interrupt. I don't be like, oh, that was kind of harsh. No, I let him talk, blah, blah, blah. And by his own self, he said that I actually, yeah, offer him another job, right? Even though he didn't accept the other job, but I offered him another job, right? Because I just didn't want to let him off like that. And then, like, on the phone, like, I'm just like slowly smiling when he said that. Because this is such a breath of fresh air. Because I'm not going to lie, I was a little concerned. I was like, bro is being a little too harsh. Like, people make mistakes, right? But lo and behold, you know, all those thoughts I had about him weren't true, because even though on that call he seemed very cold and harsh and like he didn't care and like it's over with, he did something very honorable in my opinion. Some bosses just fire you and don't refer you to get another job. But he did like one of the most honorable things ever. I'm actually reading this book called The Art of Thinking Big, and there's this chapter about this boss who, whenever he gets rid of his employees, he already, he sets up another job they can have, so they're just not left out on the curve, right? So it was crazy, like just reading that the day before and then getting a call from him of him doing that exact same thing. It was just like, wow. It's like I wanted to say so much. I wanted to say this. I wanted to say that. How he could have did that better. How he should feel, right? So many times we want to like, jump into that person's shoes in the heat of their emotions, right? And try to like, you know, copy paste what we would do in that situation or how we should feel about that situation. And the reality and the fact of the matter is that is not our place. That is not our experience. That is not our consciousness. We don't have that same set of emotions and templates to process things at the same time, right? And if we can just bite the urge, right, to jump in, to try to fix, to try to repair and change people, a lot of times, most people know right from wrong. A lot of times, most people, they know the right thing deep down in their bones. I feel like a lot of people, I feel like sometimes people, like, will say, you know, other shit that is kind of illogical and might be, like, unethical, but deep down, it is like based in something ethical with good intentions, right? But I feel like a lot of people, either they don't have the confidence to like just get straight to the point of what they really want to do. Some people just want to vent, right? So kind of like just those other thoughts that they're having, they just want to vent. And then some people, like, sometimes some people don't even have like the words to express how they're feeling or the words to express their final decision at the time. So like they just say a bunch of words leading up to like the final word they really want to say. So just acknowledging there's different types of people, right? And just giving people the choice, right, to get to the conclusion on their own is a superpower. And that is gonna like take your relationships to the next level, right? Like people, and I know it's hard. Like you wanna bite your tongue. You don't you want to jump in because like sometimes they say stuff and like you get defensive, right? Sometimes they say stuff, it triggers you. Sometimes they say stuff and it's like, wait, this is my friend. Like they say things that like makes you doubt like why am I friends with this person, right? At the moment, and you just want to jump in and like you want to change that. Like, no, let me try to change them. But the fact of the matter is that's your problem, not their problem. You want to jump in a lot of times because it's selfishly. You want to jump in and butt in because like you feel uncomfortable. You want to jump in and butt in because you feel triggered. You want to jump in and butt in, right? Because you feel like, you know, you're somebody who doesn't want to be friends with somebody who speaks like that. But the fact of the matter is, right? That person confided in you, right? That person obviously trusted you enough to kind of reveal their true feelings about something. So you owe them, the least you can do is you owe them a chance to explain themselves fully to the end without butting them, without interrupting them. And then, like, sometimes they'll fucking explain themselves and then there is no like logical or moral conclusion. And then guess what? Guess what you do in that situation? Maybe that's not a friend for you, right? Because I do believe if there's fundamental principles at odds between you and your friends, you know, like if they believe that like, you know, pedophiles shouldn't go to jail. I don't know. I don't know if I would be friends with somebody like that, right? But maybe they might say some such shit, but then they will get back to the conclusion like, yeah, but yeah, pedophile should be, pedophile should go to jail, right? And it's like, okay, he's good, but just let people work through that thought process. And yeah, just tips to hold space. Just make sure you are in a right state of mind, right? Make sure you are calm, relaxed, right? You know, make sure you're taking deep breaths. A lot of times that urge is to jump in is reactive. You just want to like interrupt. But when you feel that urge, just take a deep breath, open up that diaphragm, and exhale. They might look at you a little weird, like, why is he taking this deep breath? But a lot of times, like, they're so deep in their thoughts, they won't even notice, right? Take a deep breath, and that will give you like more mental energy to process what they're saying. Another thing that helps kind of hold space, right, and not butt in, right, is to actually be curious, right? The best thing to do is like just make eye contact and like don't say anything. But some people they just gotta say something. So if you are gonna talk, ask questions that further them to talk more. Like be like, oh, why did you feel that way? Or um, you know, how do you think it got to that point? Just ask questions so they can further talk about it, right? Because the more you want them to talk as much as they can so that they can really hear out loud how crazy their thoughts are or whatever. And then hearing that and kind of bouncing that off of their thoughts and your thoughts, that's what kind of comes together and lets them come to the best conclusion by themselves. And yeah, people who come to conclusions by themselves automatically tend to follow their own advice the best. So it's like you save everybody's time. They end up doing what you were going to tell them anyway. And they end up following what they say because people usually keep their own promises better than anything somebody would tell them. So yeah, with that being said, I hope this helps somebody. And as always, stay hydrated, stay breathing in that good ass oxygen, and most importantly, stay basic. I love you.